Somebody was very generous with his time and his legs. And his family, his entire family was at the Rose Bowl and throughout the weekend for Run Rich Run a couple weekends ago, and we just showed the results over the weekend for the draft. This man ran a 4.48 40-yard dash at the Rose Bowl in support of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and is doing a terrific job transitioning to a career in the media with the worldwide leader in sports. On the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is none other than Robert Griffin III. How you doing, RG3?
Hey, what's up, Rich? I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on, man.
No, of course. Thank you for doing what you did a couple weekends ago. You were just awesome. Thank you for that. Truly. Appreciate it.
Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me out. When I got the call, they said, hey, Rich Eisen wants you to run Rich Run for St. Jude Hospital. And I said, all right, let me go get my cleats because it's just such a special thing that you've been doing for a number of years. And I was excited to be a part of it and get back to those kids.
And then you brought your whole family. I mean, did your phone blow up on Saturday when it came out that you ran the 4.48 RG3?
Yeah, Rich, it did. And my family being there was special. I have two of my three daughters there with my wife to enjoy that whole experience with you guys. And yes, the phone blew up as soon as the time went public. Everybody was telling me, you're 32 years old. Why are you out there running 4.40s? Go have a sandwich or something.
Did any of the speaking of 32, any of the 32 teams give you a call after seeing the 4.48? Robert, any of that happen?
Rich, you always know how to make the microphone sing. So very good analogy there. And yes, I did get some calls because of that 4.48.
No kidding. Really?
Yeah, got some calls. It was I wouldn't say shocking, but when it's been 10 years and a number of wear and tear on the body, so to run 0.07 slower than I did the combine, I think that piqued some teams' interest.
Okay, and do you have any interest yourself, Robert?
Rich, yes. I'm a young guy, 32 years old. We see guys like Tom Brady playing till they're 45. Now he's got 7 Super Bowl rings, so that kind of plays into that. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any. But the desire to play is still there. And, I've just been blessed that ESPN has given me an opportunity to do what I've done just for the past 8 months in the broadcast world, while also understanding that, I still have a desire to play.
Okay. Well, you know what? This would be awesome and an incredible development if something does lead to anything. You just share with whatever you want to share. Like, would you be talking about like mini camps now or training camps in a couple months and this very fall, obviously, the clock's ticking? Robert?
Yeah, the clock's ticking. And after being out of football for a year, the likelihood of being able to get back in goes down significantly. But I did that in 2017 when I was out at the age of 27 and came back with the Baltimore Ravens. They gave me an opportunity to go in there and be a mentor for Lamar Jackson. So we'll see if one of these teams that have a young quarterback want to bring me into the building and kind of be that for their young guy. But, you'd be talking, off-season program, mini camp, training camp, all that type of stuff. But like I said, ESPN's been phenomenal.
Of course.
Putting me in these high-profile spots. Was able to cover the draft this past weekend. The thing we haven't talked about is, how the process of running at Rich Run and then going to do the USC spring game all went down.
I just mentioned that. I just mentioned that in the segment previous, Robert, that we thought when we heard that, you had your job to do, that meant you weren't going to run, and you were like, what do you mean? and you made it work, and I can't thank you enough for that, because you running the way that you ran added so much more buzz and attention to this and a viral nature. But the one thing that people didn't see is your generosity with your time. And, you talking to Alexander and his mom who was there, and this is the 11-year-old boy who got a clean brain scan just 3 weeks before running, and his mom thought, we'll never see that again a year ago, and now we were all watching it together. It was really cool, Robert. Really.
Oh, I appreciate
Truly.
that, Rich. And, Alexander was incredible. There's so much that people don't get to see from the entire experience that we have, and Alexander was awesome the night before at the dinner. his mom explaining, the whole process of what St. Jude does for these kids, and even more so for the parents of these children, to kind of put them at ease as they go through this difficult part of their life. So to be able to go out there and you say I was generous with my time, Rich. You were generous with moving the time up, so I did have an opportunity to go out there and run and do it for the children. So when it was announced, I pretty much came out and said, like, we went out there and ran for the kids, and I was truly honored and blessed to be able to do that. And thank you for including me.
You, the man, Robert Griffin III, here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I guess what did you think about where? Because clearly you winding up in the right spot and performing in the right spot when you're drafted is much of the battle, right? So what do you think about where the quarterbacks from Ritter and certainly Malik Willis, the next two quarterbacks off the board, because we're assuming obviously Pickett landed in the perfect spot. He feels that way. What do you think about where Ritter wound up in Atlanta and Malik Willis in Tennessee? Robert.
Yeah, I think it was phenomenal for him, Rich. Desmond Ritter looks good in red and black, so why not keep it going?
Nice.
And I just felt like all the quarterbacks that did fall further than people expected, they wound up in the right spot, right? Matt Corral is a guy who has that it factor. He's got a little dog in him, and I feel like that's what the Carolina Panthers need at quarterback right now. They need a guy with some dog in him. Just look at the way they responded when Cam Newton came back into town and had the game where he had a couple of rushing touchdowns. You just saw the whole city elevate itself, and they need someone who can do that for more consistently, and I think that's Matt Corral for sure. And then you look at, Sam Howell and where he ended up in Washington in a situation where Carson Wentz is once again on a one-year type of prove-it situation, and Sam comes in with a majesticness to him, right? All these quarterbacks, they wind up in the right spot because that's who wanted them where they were drafted. And they don't have the pressure of being a first-round quarterback. So they have time to develop, and they can come in and be the heroes if they need to be, right? Ritter in Atlanta with Marcus Mariota, if things don't go well there for him, they can all step in and be that hero for those franchises. And I think the teams that took quarterbacks, they're the actual winners of the draft, because these guys should have all been first or second round picks, and some of them fell into the third and to the fifth round of the draft. So that's extreme value.
No kidding. You're that high on these guys. Why are you so high on a lot of these guys who did slip down the draft board, Robert?
Yeah, Rich, I can understand why NFL evaluators looking at the tape would say, man, none of these guys would have gotten drafted in the first round in the last 2 or 3 NFL drafts. But you don't not draft Malik Willis in the first round because he's not Cam Newton, right? That's not how you evaluate talent. And quarterbacks have always been overvalued. So guys have been drafted in the first round like a E.J. Manuel, a Christian Ponder, a Blaine Gabbert. So if those guys are getting drafted in those rounds, then why couldn't these guys? I think this year kind of was a transition and a shift where teams were saying, okay, if we don't really truly believe and are all in on these guys, we're not going to reach and go get them in the first round. And I think that's a great development for the quarterbacks, obviously not for their pocketbooks, but it's a great development for them because now they're not going to be thrust into action or in an organization that doesn't truly believe in them.
Robert Griffin III here on the Rich Eisen Show. Normally I would ask somebody like you to say, give some advice to the guys who just got drafted at the quarterback spot, but I'm going to go in a different direction if you don't mind. What advice would you give Robert Griffin III on draft night in Radio City Music Hall that night, number 2 overall to Washington? What advice would this current version I'm talking to of Robert Griffin III give to that version of RG3?
Rich, that's a great question, man. I think the draft night is you get so caught up in the emotion, caught up in all the things that you've done and the people that have helped you get to that position that you're not really worried about what's next. Right? You're just focused on enjoying that moment, obviously knowing your new area code, who your coach is going to be, who your new teammates are going to be. And if I could retroactively, look back on that with hindsight being 2020, I would just tell, the younger version of myself that the way that you did it, you should be proud of that. You went in, you put your head down, you worked hard, you earned the respect of your teammates, and you went out and you won Rookie of the Year to help lead your team to the NFC title in that year. And you can't control injuries, right? You can't control the situation that you're brought into, whether a coach likes you or doesn't like you, or organization wants you or doesn't want you. All you can do is go out there and give it your all. You should be proud of that. So that would be my advice to that younger version of myself, and it would be my advice to the guys right now. Go in, work your tail off, earn the respect of those veterans, and go out there and put it all on the field, and don't forget to have fun.
Did you feel the Washington didn't want you? I mean, is that because that's a couple times you said that in this interview, Robert?
No, what I'm saying is like that night, like as a rookie, when you get drafted, you don't know what you don't know. So you're just excited about the opportunity. And it wasn't until years later that I found out that for myself, things weren't quite what you had hoped for with an organization being behind you. And that's why I think for these young quarterbacks, them falling the way that they did, but going to organizations that truly wanted them where they were drafted, was the best thing that could ever happen to them, because now they're going to be given every opportunity to go out and be successful with the full backing of that organization. For myself, it wasn't that way, and I didn't know that on draft night. I didn't know that in my first couple of years. But after looking back on it, I realized that, and, stories have come out and been told, and that's never a situation you want for a young quarterback. So as I said, you just go out there, you give it your all, and let the chips fall where they may. And everybody's got a different journey. For me, it didn't work out in Washington for a plethora of reasons. And I've learned from the mistakes that I made and learned how to handle business in situations better. So for me, you learn from your mistakes, you grow from them, and you become a better player, a better person, a better man. And I'm thankful for everything that's happened to me in my career, because it's allowed me to come out on the other side a better person.
Well, I saw all of that on display, Robert. I really did at the Rose Bowl, and I've been, I don't know if your ears have been buzzing. Literally anybody's been asking, how was the run this year? And, what was it like? I mentioned you and your family and, again, how generous you were with your time and how open you were to everybody and that was there, regardless of whether they were an NFL legend or anybody that was associated with it. So I'll just ask you this, what if you could wave a wand and say your situation? Obviously, again, you're terrific at what you're doing, broadcasting, and ESPN is terrific in having you in the positions that you're at. But in terms of playing, like if you could wave a wand, what situation would you be looking at? Robert Griffin III. You deserve it. So what do you want?
Yeah.
Let's speak it into existence.
Yeah, we can speak it into existence. I mean, I've been reached out to from a plethora of teams, but going back home to Texas with the Dallas Cowboys, I know a lot of Washington fans don't want to hear that, but that would be a great situation for me. The Atlanta Falcons being there with Mariota and Ritter would be a great situation for me, and going to Chicago with Justin Fields to try to help as much as I possibly can in that quarterback room would also be a great situation. But right now, the beauty of it is that I'm in a great situation with ESPN, and I don't ever look down upon that, and I don't take that for granted. Like I said, they've been phenomenal to me and my family. So I'm happy with what I am doing. But if an opportunity did arise, I do know that they understand that I still have that desire to play, and I would go do it.
Well, if it comes from being part of Run Rich Run, it would be my honor. It would be my honor, and just, again, for you to do what you did and be so terrific about it and so giving of your time. You deserve it, Robert. I appreciate it. Really do. Very much.
No, I appreciate that, Rich. And the run wasn't about me. And
no, I know.
Try to tell everybody that asked me about it. It was about doing that to highlight what St. Jude is doing.
You were all about
children and their families. So I really am honored. As soon as they asked me, I said, "Are you serious?" Like, easy. I'll do that in a heartbeat, because at that point, it's in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter if I ran a 4.4, a 4.6, or a 4.9. Obviously, the 4.4 gets more attention, but it's getting more attention for the right reasons, and I'm excited and happy for that.
Yep, and NFLauction.nfl.net for you can bid on the cleats that you wore, I wore. Yours is maybe a little bit more valuable. But and because they're all autographed at NFLauction.nfl.com. Pardon me, NFLauction.nfl.com is the address. Robert, let's stay in touch. I know I'm texting you. You text me. Whatever I can do to help or be there for you and your family. Let's keep this thing rolling. I appreciate the time.
No problem. Thank you, Rich. Once again, incredible what you've done for these kids.
Thank you.
Really someone that a lot of guys can look up to when they make that transition. Being able to be in the same room with you and break bread with you was an incredible experience for me, and I don't want that to be lost on you.
You're a good man, Robert, and thanks again. Your social media is on fire as well. You're incredibly popular, and I appreciate you giving your thumb and retweets and regrams and everything and likes to all of that too. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, Rich.
Okay,
As
man.
always.
Good luck. Let's stay in touch. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for the time. Best your wife and family. Take care. That's Robert Griffin III, everybody, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.